Good morning and welcome to the July 12th, 2025 meeting of the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods. We're live streaming the event and it will be available by recording link on our Facebook page at clrn.ar. We'd like to start off by introducing ourselves. I'm Kathy Wells. I'm president. I'm also vice president of the Downtown Neighborhood Association, my home ground. This is our speaker of the day, Baker Kurrus. Just say a word about yourself, if you would, going around the table.
Well, I'm Baker Kurrus. I'm a lifelong Arkansan, a resident of Little Rock since 1980. Love the city, want to help out. Appreciate being here.
I'm Virgil Miller. I'm on the Little Rock City Board of Directors. I represent Ward 1.
John Hendrick, member of the Federal Aid Neighborhood Association and the Downtown Neighborhood Association.
What was your name?
Pam Powell from University Park. George Jernigan, Ward 5. Sam Baker, Ward 5.
Norman Hodges, Heights Neighborhood Association rep. I guess I'll call myself now. Ward 3, and I'm on the Little Rock Planning Commission.
Carol Miles, I think I heard you the call yesterday, manage Jericho Way and will manage the microphone.
We have the noise to overcome for the recording, so do speak a little loudly.
Junior Tejas, Ward 6.
Robert Walker, Ward 3, Capital View Stiff Station Neighborhood Association.
Mary Hemthorne, Ward 4.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to touch on a variety of things today. In addition to the Madison Heights bailout, which is the topic for our speaker, Baker Kurrus, we're going to touch on efforts to persuade the city to promote gun safes, both in displays and lobbies and at the tables for the National Night Out observance in October the 7th. That is going, and I've got an update on that later. We also wanted to check in on the associations buying haircuts at back-to-school events for youth at risk, which was one very substantial way that we could undertake to contribute to the violence reduction efforts across the city that are going on in many times and places right now. I'm pleased to report in that regard that the Downtown Neighborhood Association voted a substantial sum to the back-to-school event that is hosted by Our House Shelter for the Working Homeless, as the old phrase goes. She's not here, but Denise Leeson told me that Central High neighborhood voted a substantial sum for a back-to-school event, and I'm not sure which location is benefiting from their generosity. And the Heights neighborhood is making a donation. Do you know which group is getting that one? Here, no. I'm sorry. Senior moment, Hodges.
No, I don't. I've been on last job, but I don't know getting it.
At any rate, we're going with that, and I hope that others not heard from are also undertaking it. Low self-esteem is one of the very major efforts we have to overcome in youth at risk to violence. And according to the speakers we benefited from on past Saturdays. And this isn't a group that's going to get out there and talk street to persuade these folks to quit gangbanging or the next thing to it. But there's a lot of tools in the kit. There's a lot of things that can be brought to them. And this is one that fits with neighborhoods contributing to these events, contributing a little bit more money than some pads and pencils. The last we heard, you had to allow about $50 per haircut. So that adds up to the kind of money that a neighborhood association might be able to fund. And they're also in a position to sustain and continue that year in and year out in the years to come, which is something else that we heard from our speakers, is that we need efforts that are both sustained and intense. So a lot's going on with that. More about that later. I believe Director Virgil Miller told us he had another commitment, so if I may ask Baker to defer to Virgil. Virgil, tell us what's going on, and do you have any Madison bailout information?
Well, thank you, number one, for inviting me and having me come speak on a number of different issues. And really, I came to listen more than anything else. I don't learn anything when I'm talking. I learn a lot when I'm listening. And so when I heard that Baker Kurrus was going to be the speaker, and we would be talking about Madison Heights, then I wanted to come and learn. He's someone who is no stranger to the city and all the community work he's done. Everyone knows, my position. I voted for aiding the citizens, the residents at Madison Heights. I think it's the right thing to do. We have people that depend on that housing that has been there since it has been built. It's no fault of their own how the property has been managed. And I believe just from the standpoint of a city that wants to provide affordable housing, this is what we ought to be doing. We talk a lot about it. We've hired Carol Miles and her organization to oversee our micro village that we get rid of. We know how important housing is, and so I've heard all of the debates about it. We've heard it. If you look at city board meetings, you've heard. I just believe that in a situation where we have to, if we're serious about providing affordable housing, then this is something we can do to address that. Make the loan to help this entity get back on its feet. It's no strange, it's nothing new when governments come to the aid of organizations that they didn't cause the problem. We've seen that with the federal government on a number of times when it came to the airline industry, the car industry, the cruise industry. I mean, it happens all the time. And so here we have a chance as a city to head off what could be a disaster for people who depend on that housing. And so my position has been clear about that. I support it. And I came here as a person that wanted to hear Mr. Kurrus because I know where he has stood on this. He's spoken before the board, so this is his meeting. I talked way too much about that, but that's why I'm here, Madam President. I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk.
Well, that sounds like a splendid introduction, Mr. Kurrus.
Well, thank you.
What can you tell us? I know you've been traveling, so you may be a little
I'm
bit
a little
limited.
jet lagged. I'm fresh back from Copenhagen, Finland, Latvia, Estonia, Poland, the Netherlands, and Denmark. But I'm real glad to be here, and I'm especially glad to be sitting next to, and they're in between two of my friends, both of whom have been champions for all things right, is my opinion. And the thing I like about Director Miller is not only does he say he believes in affordable housing, he wants to do something about it. There's nobody on the board that doesn't make that statement. I'm going to make a brief current status statement, and I want to be interrupted. If you say, Baker, I don't know this, I'd like to hear about that, so just jump right in. Right now, Madison Heights 1 and 2 are in foreclosure. The lender is a group out of New York that is very mercenary, in my opinion. They want their money. They're owed about $6 million. Madison Heights 1 and 2 are part of that apartment complex there. There's actually a third Madison Heights that's part and parcel of that same thing. So if we're not real careful, this lender's gonna be in charge of 2 units of Madison Heights. The housing authority will still own the third. That makes no sense, obviously, as a business organization to have 3, basically, you've all been over there, I assume, you really can't tell the difference of who owns what. But there's $6 million owed roughly on the Madison Heights 1 and 2 properties. The appraised value is $18 million. That's a recent appraisal. Those 2 properties are worth $18 million. Imagine a situation where we lose that $12 million in equity. Because that's what's going to happen. If they foreclose and they get the property and they wash out the other interests, no longer will the Little Rock Housing Authority, through its Central Arkansas Housing Corporation, own those properties, and the equity goes up in smoke. It's now owned by whoever buys it for sale. That would be a real waste of money. And Director Miller is right. There's properties been mismanaged. They're pretty good properties. They look great from the street if you've been by there. They have great windshield appeal. They need work. They have been mismanaged. There's no question about that. But they can be managed better, and they can work. I'm sitting next to a very established and experienced banker, and I think I won't speak for him, but I certainly believe these things can cash flow. If you have $6 million in debt on the properties, they can perform. They can pay that back through operations. And I'm not going to get into how they got there. I think that's not important. But I do want to speak a little bit about what Director Miller has encountered and what I've encountered with other city board members. Because it comes down to a vote. And I'll tell you what, just so you'll know, there's no doubt that the city has the authority to loan the money to these authorities. I brought the statute if y'all want to, get into it, but there's no doubt that the city can loan money to the Metropolitan Housing Authority, which can then loan the money to the Central Arkansas Housing Corporation, which then pay off the debt and then push that money back upstream as the properties begin to cash flow and as properties are sold. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to ask you, could you give an example for those of us who are not experienced with daily financials and real estate transactions? Let's give an example of my house that is worth more than the mortgage.
Right.
That has not been paid.
Right.
So I'm looking for somebody to bail me out who's going to fix it up and get out of foreclosure to mercenary lenders.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that would be legally able to lend me money for my house. And in this instance, you're saying the city stands as a individual entity that could lend to this property.
Yes, the city has the power by statute. Just to go back, in 1937, these housing authorities were authorized by federal law. And then Arkansas has a subsequent law which allows cities to establish a housing authority. And some directors say that no, the city's not involved in all that stuff. Well, that's kind of true, but the city established this thing. The city appointed the very first 5 directors of the housing authority. The city has the right to remove directors of the housing authority. We know that occurred. I brought the statute which says how and why they can do that if you want to know. Removal may occur for inefficiency or neglect of duty or misconduct in office by a vote of the majority of the city council. That happened. So to say that this doesn't have much to do with the city flies in the face of several things. The city established this. They don't run it, but they control the board that does.
Well, they delegated this job to somebody they thought could work on it full time, which is what cities do.
Yeah, it's not, and it's a city thing. Our neighbors live there, and the whole world will change if this is not a lot of things will stay the same, but some things won't. So I won't get into all that. I don't want to devolve it down into that, but I will say this. Some city directors say it's, quote, not the city's problem. I've heard that at the meetings, not from Director Miller. Some say they don't want to be in the apartment business. Well, they won't be. They'll be lending money. They'll have a first mortgage, and back to what you're talking about, on a property that's worth about 300% of the debt, and a property that can cash flow. And also the housing authority is willing to sell other assets that it owns and prepay the city some of the money back. That's the status of the thing. But right now, I don't know. You know, I've been out of the country for 2 weeks. I don't know who's going to vote which way. If it comes right down to the city loaning money to the housing authority so it can then loan money to the Central Arkansas Housing Corporation to pay off the lenders. That seems to me the simple thing. The city has money. It's a rainy day fund. Now, when I talk to some city directors, they say, well, we've got to use that to buy police cars or fire trucks or make improvements to fire stations. And I said, well, those aren't rainy day expenses. That's normal operating expenses. Nobody's going to be surprised when a police car wears out. This is a rainy day fund. This is the bus that hit us that we didn't see coming. It's not an ordinary, necessary, prudent expense that cities plan for. So I really don't know why we don't want to do this. If it's because we think that nothing will change out there, if the property's owned by somebody who's headquartered in New York, who's a predatory lender, they're lending this money at 9%. They're collecting post-judgment interest. They're going for the throat on this deal. And I wanted to digress a little bit and say, I just got back from places where people seem to care more. You know, they just seem, people like Virgil care, or he wouldn't even be here. And it just seems like people ought to care a little bit more and have a little more pride and say, no, we don't want to have a housing authority in our city that can't meet its obligations because we can't make a fully secured loan that we think can be paid back. And I think that gets to be the issue. It's a bigger picture than just Madison Heights. If we don't care about that, what do we care about? The people that need the help the most need to be helped the most. I've always believed that. My parents taught me that. Everybody in this room believes that. People that need help the most need to be helped the most. And if all those people pay rent or qualify for subsidies, which they're entitled to get under our rules. So I think it's a pretty simple thing. And I'm gonna lean pretty hard on some of the directors. I think that's what we've got to do. I talked to Mark Stoley yesterday, and right now there are some moves. I've talked to bankers I know where and I could Virgil would know them all, or Director Miller would know them all, who are trying to put together maybe consortiums who might make this loan, but nothing's going to happen by August 1st. That's just not the way the world works anymore.
And that's a deadline for foreclosure.
Well,
We're in court.
Well, what happened was there was a hearing, and the lender agreed that they would, if they could put a receiver in place, which is now in place, they would stand still till August 1st. That doesn't mean the hammer drops exactly hard on August 1st. It just means they're no longer obligated to withhold their efforts to take the property. They have a pending motion for summary judgment. That's a legal maneuver where you think all the facts are true that you've asserted, or all the facts that are necessary for you to win have been admitted, and you go to court and say, enter judgment for me. And frankly, I've looked at the pleadings. They've got, obviously, we hadn't paid the debt. The debt is well past due. It hadn't been paid since 2023. And that's the simple, most obvious issue. Have you paid the money?
Baker, how did it get this? Was it because of the incompetence of self-dealing of the previous member of this board, or what? I mean, how did it get to this point?
Well, that's a really long answer, but I'll say this. Running an apartment complex is not all that complicated, but it's like running a dairy farm. You got to attend to your business every single day. You know, you got to keep the property up. You got to get tenants in there. You've got to get tenants out that aren't paying their share of the rent. You've got to do all these little things that make a difference, and they weren't doing those things. You may remember in 2020, the people that worked there sent a letter to the city board saying that this thing is all wrong, it's not working. Then the board of the Housing Authority fired Nadine Jarman in 2021. She then sued. She said that they were doing things wrong. There were lots of contracts that shouldn't have been entered into, lots of public relations contracts. I've seen lots of contracts for consulting services and all the phony baloney that doesn't amount to anything. When in truth and in fact, to run an apartment complex, you need to be on the ground with a competent manager, with competent maintenance people, and with people who knock on doors when rents don't get paid, all that sort of thing.
And
none of
to
that
keep
is-
the books.
Keep the
Keep
books.
up the books.
Well, the books were a huge mess, and
Yeah.
and all that's important. There's lots of wasted money here, but so what really matters now is, all that's water over the dam or under the bridge, depending on which idiom
Both.
he is. And both is gone, and I think there ought to be an accountability there at some point. But for now. It just seems simple enough to me, and I think this would be a great example for this organization, to step forward and say, this makes sense, because we're trying to care for people that we care about. These are our neighbors. These are not people we don't know. These are not people that live in Cabot or Conway. These are the people that live in our town, and they work here. And this is emergency money that'll be loaned. Unless we screw it up, they'll get their money. The city gets money, I think, virtually either way. They may have to foreclose, but there's plenty of equity out there, and that would be terrible. But either way, the city stands to lose the use of the money, but to get interest for that, which I've never had a lender give me money and not insist that I give them the money back and the interest with it. So, what can I say? I don't want to, drag this out too much. I just want to.
Can we reduce it to a couple of steps 1, 2, 3 for simplicity? Tap a source in the city budget. The obvious one is what they call the rainy day fund, which has not gotten distinct policy on what they spend it on. They've kept it carefully vague, which I understand is a reasonable official policy. So there's nothing to keep them from doing that on the paper. Welcome, Mayor. We're glad you're here. We were just summing up. Your timing is perfect.
summing up.
Yeah, we were trying to reduce it to a few simple steps. So please join us.
You want to stream it at 10:30?
It started at 9. They told me 10 and I got called. It started at 9, so I got there at 9:30.
So, you already spoken?
Uh-huh. Nope.
Oops.
It's a scheduling issue they have, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I'm going on, still going over there. It's going on from,
The block party will still be going on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We understand we're a civic group. We appreciate you folks getting assistance from each other at our table. We're pleased to facilitate. That's what we like to do. So let me sum this up and confirm or correct is a phrase I like to use, Baker. So what the city needs to do is tap a source of money. We see no reason not to tap the rainy day fund. We're puzzled at why they're not doing it. Because some are up there, they've got 13 million less some that they're going to tap for, is it fire trucks, Mayor? I've forgotten which the rainy day fund is tapping already. You're taking the 13 million reserve.
We've already got fire trucks. I think there was some miscommunication.
I'm puzzled about that.
We have fire trucks. There's no money being spent on fire trucks. I think there was a miscommunication.
Okay, so is 13 million still the balance against which there's no other sum allocated? You're not spending it on anything else right now?
We, by law, have to keep a certain percentage, and right now that percentage is about 13.1. So we may need to have another meeting. We want to talk about that, but we have some funds, but there's some that we have to keep by law.
No, I'm talking about what you volunteered to just set aside on your own, far apart from any
So that's
legal
not a rainy day
requirement.
fund. So what I'm sharing with you is what we recently spent were some excess funds that we had for emergency purchases for one-time funding. So we would never spend one-time funds on fire trucks. And so we already have our fire trucks, which are taken care of through our last 2022 bonds. And if we were to get any new fire trucks, we would do short-term financing. We would never use cash
So we
reserves
just
for them.
think of it only to put it to one side because it's not involved in this issue
I don't know
of the
what you're
Madison
asking.
Heights
That's-
bailout.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you
My
got?
understanding is that we have accumulated over many years money that the city board voted out of general revenues for a rainy day reserve fund.
Yeah,
That
it's-
was
well,
not a legal requirement. That's a new statement to me.
No, we have ordinance that states two things. One from a government accounting is a certain percent, I think 1 or 2%. I can't escape me right now, that we have to put away by a ordinance that the city board put intact 20 to 30 years ago. And so at that point in time, I think it's somewhere around 13.1. We may have at some point in time it's been 17, 18. I think the legal requirement may be about 20. And so that's what's there for what we call a doomsday funding. So that's what, for instance, with the high-end EF3 tornadoes, if we had to really use some funding there, we would go out of that funding. That's what.
Can I go back to legal requirements?
The ordinance. It's an ordinance that states that.
And no, I'm sorry. You referred to a percentage of the city budget, if I remember correctly.
Correct. We have a self-imposed ordinance that states that we have a percentage of our city budget. I don't have it in front of me today, but somewhere between 1 to 3%. The city board has never gotten to that total amount. I think that total amount would probably be around 20 to 25 million. That's never been the case in at least 20 or 30, 40 years. No, we've never met it. So,
And that's new information for me. That's
Right.
why I'm
I
stumbling.
called up the policy,
yeah,
and the mayor's right. The city had a goal
yeah.
to establish and maintain a restricted reserve fund with a goal of setting aside 10 million or 10% of general fund revenues, whichever is greater, by December 31, 2005. So we never got there.
And we're here a generation later.
So the policy, like Baker just pulled up, is 10 million or 10%. So 10% of our budget is 331 million. I mean, 33 million
Yeah.
would probably be our 10% of our budget. We've never gotten to that. We do have more than 10 million. We got 13.1. There's been a period of time, at least in my 10 years, we've gotten up to 17 million. Then we had to spend certain portions of it. What I'm sharing with you is that money that's being referred to, that is for doomsday funding. Doomsday for the city of Little Rock, that we tap into that. That's not over here. Which I think the miscommunication was as it relates to the firefighters. There was a lot of conversation in the last budget discussion about fire capital expenses. We had some,
And they did get mixed in everybody's mind.
and that got mixed. And so recently we allocated $2.5 million of some excess. We don't call it rainy day
Call
fund.
it left-hand budget
No.
column and right-hand column.
No, not at all.
Because it ain't out of the doomsday fund.
No, it's
That's
not.
my right hand.
Yeah, it's not out of doomsday fund.
It's out of somewhere else.
So I can give you budget 101, but when I say that is, if you really want to talk about
Talk like
doomsday,
about it.
the city has about at any given point in time $50 to $80 million in free cash flow. However, that's what we call unrestricted funds, but we utilize that for cash flow because we get 2 months of our money. We're always 2 months in the arrears from when we get our money from the state, so we would never tap into that much of it over there. So that's number one. Number two,
Bear with me. This is not my field of
Sure.
expertise.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands that it wasn't fire trucks.
Well, we need to understand that because we're going wrong.
Right.
So, we've
Well,
got
let me keep going. I may be
the
a
50
killer.
to 80 million is what is that, interest that's floating around that you haven't spent yet?
It's a myriad of things, but let's
Oh, it's
stay off
just
of
your-
it. Just stay off of that. I shouldn't even say it. Just stay off of that.
Okay.
So we have doomsday. I call it doomsday funding. Somebody would say it's our policy, whatever. That is somewhere between right now. That's somewhere between 13.1 million and 18 million dollars. That's in this bucket. Prior to a month ago, we probably had $8 to $10 million of reserve funding from an excess amount of money that we had some extra interest fees and things of that nature that basically you can call it a rainy day fund. But it's not a rainy day fund with the city board when they want certain things done, that if you had extra cash flow, they got residents like you all who want certain things done. One of those things were we had to spend, due to inflation and construction costs, we had to spend an additional $2.5 million on the micro home village that's being built right now. So when we had originally allocated $3 million 2 years ago, construction has gone up. So now that's another $2.5 million. We have a solar farm that we recently built through the IIJA. Don't ask me what it means, but it's during the American the American Rescue Plan Act. And so part of that funding with energy, as we do the rate study, we needed another $1 million there. So $1 million went there. We put $500,000 for capital expenses for the zoo. I think we all know we got to help the zoo. So micro home village. Oh, our new senior citizen center. We've been talking about. We're tired of our residents going to North Little Rock to Patrick Henry Hayes, and so we utilize. You said yes. So you utilize American Rescue Plan Act money for that. However, when we allocated American Rescue Plan Act money for that, it was $3.5 million. Guess what happened? Tariffs happened, and so construction costs increased. So there's another $2 million we took out of that money. So there's 8 to 10 different things that residents across the city said they want the city to fund. We had that extra pot of money to fund those things. Why? Because they were already in motion. It's not because there's something new. They were things that were in motion, because it takes sometimes between 3 months to 9 months to do a design on something. And then by the time you do design, you start doing the bids for the construction, things go up. So
good city government, is understanding this process and is finding a way to
complete
run the finances, run the columns of money.
Well, hold on. What I'm sharing with you is this extra.
To handle all this.
No, ma'am. What I'm sharing with you is this extra set of money that we knew was available. We utilized that money to complete projects that we already committed to residents due to inflation costs. And so that could have been how, unfortunately, when the new issue of Madison Heights came, anyone can look at that. Many people may see this, oh, we need to tap that. Director Miller and I, we both led the effort to save Madison Heights. We're not the ones that voted against it. And I want to give a big shout out to Baker, who's been very helpful in that process. So everybody you see in this room, we want to save it. However, just because there's money available, that doesn't mean other people had their hands on it. So it's not like we had $6 million. We could have, but we would have had to tell those who support the micro home village, we're not going to finish it. We had to tell our senior citizens, we're not going to finish the senior citizen center. It was many different things due to a new issue. There's going to be an issue tomorrow that we got to figure out. And so we had to finish what we already had started. Finally, to the solution. And I agree with Baker. There still may be a way to fund this. However, I don't think funding is no longer the issue. We can figure that out, whether through short-term financing, whether it's using, I don't want to use it, but it's possible, whether it's using a cash fund balance that, we got to figure out how to pay some bills later on down the road, but we can figure some things out. But we don't have a city board, a full city board, that's willing to do that right now. That's just the honest truth. Would you agree, Director Miller?
Oh, no doubt.
I don't think, we're not here today.
And that's what we were talking about before you came, so that fits in with the discussion. But we were puzzled about whether the money we thought was available was available. Now, see, you've
what I would say is
saying that there's a fund that has competing and conflicting sums that would drain the fund, so you can't do both.
Here's what I can say today.
I thought there was just a free money.
No, it's not.
Rainy day fund.
There's never free money. There's never free money in the city.
Unencumbered. I thought that's what your doomsday fund was, unencumbered.
Well, yeah, that is unencumbered. The doomsday fund it is.
And so why can't we use that?
Because it's not. As your mayor, that's not. As much as I want to say Madison Heights, I don't think we should spend that doomsday funding. And a tornado comes next week and we can't save residents. I do think there's another solution. So let me talk about solution. Let's get off of those funds.
Okay. All right.
Let's get off of that. We'll find the money. However, if this coalition wants to really get engaged, if you all are as engaged and want to save Madison Heights like Director Miller, like myself and Mr. Kurrus, go check who voted no.
Who did vote no?
Go check who voted no. That's not my rule. No, that's not my role. Then I'll be getting political.
I think I did report that, but
Yeah.
I'll pull that back up again.
Call who
and send
voted
it
no
fresh.
and say, hey, we want to save Madison Heights. That's all. It's a matter of public record.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, when,
But again, kudos to Director Miller and Mr. Kurrus.
yeah. And so as I stated earlier, I came here to, be supportive of, Baker. I know what he was going to do. I've already stated my position there before you came and what I want to do. And so I think that's a pretty thorough, report. But at the end of the day, you have to change some votes. You have to, if you want to make a difference, you have to lobby. And so, as the mayor has stated, it's public record. Baker was there. He heard the vote. So please, as a coalition, if you feel strongly about this, you can lobby. Because at the end of the day, like I'm saying, these are residents. We talk about affordable housing. We want to provide affordable housing. I'm not going to restate that ground again, but these are our fellow citizens, the residents, who need to feel the city can come to their rescue. I believe we should do this. I feel strongly about it.
I think there's a great deal of agreement amongst, but also trying to be practical in what we're asserting. It seems to me that we need to take it a couple of steps further than calling up a board member and saying, we really urge you to turn into a yes vote to bail out Madison Heights. We know there's money available and it's found in X place. See, that's what we haven't gotten to, is if they'll say, well, I'm not willing to spend X, Y, Z, we need to come back with 1, 2, 3. It seems to me like to be an effective lobbyist. Am I not correct?
Well, Mr. Kurrus and myself and Mr. Miller, we shared with them, we knew, Director Miller and I knew, that board members did not want to utilize the extra reserve account to complete existing projects that board members had already committed to. So we never put that on the table. And I'm talking about the funds to finish out the Senior Citizen Center, the micro home village.
Which is not the Doomsday Fund.
Not to do. We can call it the rainy day fund. I'm gonna call it. We're gonna call it.
That sounds good. The rainy day fund and the Doomsday Fund. That helps us.
Right. We knew that board members did not want to utilize the rainy day fund to save Madison Heights because they had previous commitments to other residents and projects. We get that. So we never offered that because we knew where that was going to land. I want to always be solution oriented. So we decided to pursue short-term financing, which is the best route to do, which is basically taking out a loan and understanding that the management of the CHAC as well as the MHA would sell some property. If they sell some property, so from the short-term financing standpoint, we could have gotten $6 million bailed out MHA, and our first note payment is not due for another year. Let's say we did it in July of this year. It's not due to July 26th. We had a great game plan from Mr. Kurrus and MHA that they would at least help us get the first note paid or a significant amount from their end through selling some property, making some renovations to MHA to get some more cash flow. It wasn't going to be the whole amount. The whole amount for us, even though it's a $6 million loan, our first annual payment was going to probably be about 1.5, 1.7 million, so $2 million. And so, as you all saw in the paper, the MHA had some live deals, some of which are still on, some are not, that would have gotten us at least from anywhere from $1 to $3 million. So our first note payment was going to be paid for by them. Even if they got us 50%, we could have covered the other 50%. And so again, the goal that Mr. Kurrus and MHA were trying to share with the city board, and city board, I knew it, and Mr. Miller knew it, is, hey, we just need 2 or 3 years to get our house in order. Give us this loan. We'll help you pay the note each year. If not 100%, 50%, you're the city, you can kind of handle the 50% so we can get our house in order so we can save Madison Heights. So there's a plan. All they have to do is vote yes. And if they don't want to do short-term financing, there's still some legalese that short-term financing may or may not work out. Great. If they don't, the other thing that I reference is at any point in time, the city does have a cash balance. I wouldn't highly recommend it, but it's basically if you got money on the table and you need to buy something, and we all been in the house, we got $100 here today, you need to go buy some groceries today. And we've all played a little risk about, I'm going to buy the groceries today and worry about the water bill when the water bill comes. Right? Have we all been there? I've been there. And so, so we can pay the $6 million. We got it today, but there may be some bills 5 to 6 months down the road that we got to go talk to our creditors and say, hey, can we get an extension? Can we do this? And that's important enough for the city to do to save some lives. It is. However, that's not always the smart, tactical, financial CFO thing to do. So I say that all the same. We can save Madison Heights. We just got to get the city board to vote yes. Whether it's we get the legal authorization to do a loan, or we take our $100 that's on the table today and pay it and worry about our creditors later. And I say worry about it later. I hate that we're on camera right now because of Moody's rating system. Here's that.
I'm not sure they're one of our subscribers.
Okay.
I think you're probably okay.
So I would say from a lobbying standpoint is...
And the board has all of this financial information in
yes,
hand.
they know this. Yes.
So they know that we can sort through, on the one hand this, on the other hand
Right.
that. Okay.
Would you agree, Mr. Miller?
Oh,
For
no
director?
doubt.
Would you agree, Mr. Kurrus?
I would agree. I would agree indeed. And I think the thing that's lost on some board members, if you do talk to them, I'm gonna put together a little scenario and send
You
it
can
to
give
them.
us a script to quote?
Well,
We like a script to quote.
Well, I'm going to send it to them, and I'll be happy to send it to you. But
Okay.
I think the thing that's lost on a couple of people, and these are my friends, people I know and like and respect very much. But this is not money goes out the tailpipe. You know, this is not like buying a 4th of July fireworks display, and it all goes up in smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a loan, and it's well secured, and I think the other thing, I'll say something, I don't want to be misunderstood, but when I was at the meetings, I mean, we got a mayor that's a banker, we've got Director Miller who's a banker, we've got, I've been involved in real estate transactions since 1979. The first big one I worked on was a huge office building in Houston. So I've been doing foreclosures since 1979. And it's really, a director should set policy. You know, and they all voted on the policy. They all, I think everybody pretty much voted yes on the first 2 of those resolutions, as I recall. And then once the directors set the policy, there's an executive. The mayor is an executive. And then I think it's incumbent upon them to say, executives, and there's other executives. We got a CFO who seems to be a bright guy. I'm impressed with every time I deal with it.
This is one of the that we advocates would think of as the director of the finance department of the city of Little Rock.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
shouldn't say CFO. I think it's on.
No, I don't think you should say CFO for the
well,
city.
you know, I say things I shouldn't say all the time. But
Well, you're working
whatever-
in the financial world instead of the lobby at City Hall world that was our
Well,
turf.
that's my, I can't deny the fact that I think in that way. But anyway, what I'm saying is I think the best thing a director should do when they're a director is to say, this is our policy, this is our desire, and then turn that over to the executive branch and say, make this happen, show us how this makes sense, and then describe it to us, and then we'll vote. If it makes sense, we'll vote yes.
You guys know how I voted. I'm going.
Gotta go to your next committee. Thank you, Director
And
Miller.
I want to hear the mayor speak at 10:30, 11 over at Central High.
Well,
Appreciate you coming by, sir.
He was quick.
tell Mrs. Rousseau hello, and I do have a business.
Okay. I think Robert Walker had his hand up, and then Junior. Robert, what is it you wanted to ask?
I was trying to report on who voted, but
The access is not easy, yes. Junior, what's your...
I'll get it to you.
I know.
Well, is this for the vote that happened on June 3rd or 2nd?
I think it was June 3rd meeting, wasn't it?
Okay.
When was it?
So
June,
okay, so.
First Tuesday in June.
So it was 3 people that voted yes, and then 3 people that voted no, and then there was 2 absent.
no.
No, not that one?
Yeah, that,
No, that's it, because Antoine was not there, and of course Ken Richardson remained absent. So it is a 2 absent vote.
Okay.
No, he said 3 voted yes, there's more people who voted yes. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, sorry, it's just the article says it was Director Miller, Director Lewis, and Director Adcock voted in favor of issuing the loan.
Yeah, that was the 3rd ordinance, then yes.
that's the third
Yeah.
ordinance.
Yeah.
And then Wyrick and Kurrus, Webb, Peck, and Hines voted no.
Okay,
on the
and then
third
there was
ordinance.
2 absent.
Yeah.
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 It didn't say a
Director
thing
Phelps
about
was
Kathy
absent,
Webb.
And Director Richardson.
He just said,
Oh, okay. So,
Say that again slowly.
Wyrick, Kurrus, Webb, Peck, and Hines all voted no on the actual third resolution. Director Phillips, I believe, was absent that night.
He was absent.
And then I know Director Richardson was absent.
okay, so for it to pass, how many does it require?
6.
All 6 of them?
Or-
No.
Not
Oh, no, all
those.
6 of them, but yes.
Just 6 out
There's
of-
10 voting board members.
Yeah.
You need 6 to pass an ordinance.
Okay. So,
So that's our calling list, is Wyrick, Kurrus, Webb, Peck, and Hines.
okay. So,
And the vote probably would be something that you could take up, if you chose, Tuesday night the 15th, which is 4 days from now. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, I wouldn't give it that. I would wait till, there needs to be conversations.
You don't think we need to be making our
But I
phone
would-
calls in the next 3 days?
No, I'm not saying that. I don't think you need to put a slam a vote for them today. They need time to have a greater understanding on the need. For instance, I would say someone like a Director Webb. So, for instance, there were 3 ordinances. Director Webb voted for the first 2 and did not on the third. I think she's someone that could. I don't think she's adamantly against it at all.
She's not. I
Yeah,
can
so
say
can
that
tell
I
you
did
yeah.
privately call her
She's
about a
not.
week back, and she said, I need to know more and to be
Right.
more assured about a source of funding. That's one reason why I was
Yeah, that's why I say
saying what I
direct-
did about if we're going to lobby these folks. And the next question is, well, how do you expect to pay for it? Because I'm not going to go for Category X.
Right.
That we should be able to respond with, well, we are informed, courtesy of the mayor, courtesy of Baker, courtesy of Virgil Miller, there are these sources.
Right. And again, like I
We
said,
can
I don't
just say
think
you
Director.
folks know where to find it.
I think Director Webb and Director Peck, through just some additional conversations, if I was a betting person, they'd probably be one of the 2 more willing to switch their votes.
I would not dispute that.
Because
It
Director
reads
Webb,
the
she's
same way
a
to me.
true advocate for affordable housing. So, yeah, he'll vote. We just got to talk to him.
I'll make it a point to do that.
I think that we ought to try and do that and engage in our like-minded network, because we do not know what the judge will say to the New York foreclosure bankers salivating at grabbing off an $18 million asset for $6 million.
No, so just to hear, because I got to run to a third thing. I've been.
Do you know
my
anything
fourth
about
one.
what the judge may do on August 1st?
Here's the facts. I mean, Baker's the lawyer. MHA signed a deal that, hey, give us additional 90 days or whatever the time was. We'll have this worked out. If not, we forfeit our argument towards foreclosure. So if the judge has every right in the world to go forward on August 1st. That's because MHA signed that over. From that standpoint, and I may not be saying it correctly, but that's in its just what it is.
So why are we screaming and bellowing about you got to act before August the 1st? I'm missing something here.
No, that's
No,
why.
that's what he just said. August 1st is a drop dead date where the motion for summary judgment will be on the judge's desk, and all he's got to do is sign.
Yeah.
So why not call over the weekend and tell them they really look for some motion and forward action on the July 15th meeting of the city board?
Here's what I'm saying.
Tell
The
me.
deadline is August 1st to get something done. I just came to this meeting because I tried to come as many times as possible. I left it there. I didn't even know we were going to be talking about this today. So what I'm sharing with you is, as far as this particular instance, I was just coming in to say hello.
Well,
As you all
we
know,
always get very
sometimes
deep.
I run in here, I come and say hello, and I go to the next event. So I'm glad I tried it. My mother said always be ready, so I was ready. So what I'm sharing with you on the date, August 1st, foreclosure happens. Unless the city board takes an action based off of the proposal that I've sent in consultation with Director Miller and Mr. Kurrus and many others, we forward that to them. All we have to do is turn 3 votes. Director Miller, Lewis, and Adcock voted for the funding of the short-term note. We got to turn 3 votes. I firmly believe that talk to Director. I'd be highly surprised if Director Phillips voted no. Highly surprised. But you got to talk to him. And so that's a 4th vote. Then you got Director Webb. I don't think she was added because she voted for the first 2.
She was receptive.
She was receptive.
Give her a path on the money.
Yeah, path on the money. Same thing with Director Pett. So there's 6. If not, I think you talk to everybody who voted no. But in the meantime, I don't think you just knowing this board, you don't spring a vote on them on July 15th when they come back. I think you take the next week, talk to them, and then on the very last board meeting of July, because all the judge needs to know is there's some action going. If we have an ordinance by July the 15th, so that's
the 3rd meeting.
the
So
29th, on July 29th, if we pass an ordinance that we're going to fund them, everything's okay.
Well, now let me say one other thing too. Everything the mayor said is exactly right, but on that date, let's say the judge takes up the motion for summary judgment and several days later signs the order. Then that doesn't mean the property's sold. And the foreclosure process takes a little time. There's got to be notice and publication. There's some time built in, 30 days built in there. So there's a little cushion to pay the lender because they get a money judgment. And then they foreclose to realize the money. So and not that we want to be slow playing anything.
Right.
It's not automatic right on the first.
But if
the
you're
property
that
goes
New
up
York
there.
mercenary and you get your request yes from the judge on August the 1st, the city can still walk in and say, hey, we got this after August the 1st, and you can negotiate because that's what they do. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
It's
Thank
possible.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
possible, you know. You're doing me like you just do the mayor, though. You keep pushing on all this stuff so hard.
I do?
You don't.
Well, we've got to understand it. You're the professionals. You've got to educate the lay people here who want to lobby,
Well,
but
that's
they don't
why-
want to say stupid things.
And that's why we love you. Hold us accountable, and you'll hold us accountable. You'll still take us out to coffee after this. So,
That's right.
guys, I got
I
to
got
roll.
you a cold drink. We got cold drinks if you'd like one on the run.
Actually, I might get one. Actually, thank you
One
all.
down in the
Thank you,
bag.
sir.
Thank you all. Appreciate all you guys are
Thank you,
doing.
Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And you had a commitment too, but you
I
need
have
to
to
go.
get going. Yeah,
Not bad.
I've been
Maybe.
summoned to
Yep. Thank you.
another deal.
Another appointment.
It's an hour away, so I've got.
All right, well,
But
thank you
any
so much.
quick questions while I'm walking out? I don't want y'all.
Did
to feel like
everyone
you
get
didn't
everything?
Get what you needed.
Well, we filed a response to the motion for summary judgment. What makes you think that it's automatic that their motion will be granted? Do we have any arguments to oppose their motion? Or
Well, I never, as a lawyer, I'll tell you, never admit anything. So they didn't admit that the motion for summary judgment was what they. And there are some things you can say, but if you go back to my point number 1, in a mortgage foreclosure action, the first question is, have you paid the debt? And if the answer to that is no, we haven't paid you in 2 years, then you are fighting an uphill battle, and I don't think it's one we can easily win. Nor is it a long-term win. Sooner or later, they're going to win. And
That's where you negotiate. Now we've got the money. Can we quit fighting?
well, they just want the money. They don't want to get down here and horse around in Arkansas. The guy told me he's been here. I was surprised even with that. They bought this loan it's the 3rd time that piece of paper has changed hands. The original lender sold it. This next purchaser sold it to these cats. They manage about $2 billion worth of money. This is a $6 million eyesore is what the guy called it in his portfolio. This is a portfolio manager in New York.
I guess the other question would be, how confident are we that the people that are in the housing authority won't get the $6 million loan and then turn right around and suck it up again and we'll be back?
Oh, they are now on a short leash and a tight rein. The answer to that is they don't have the ability to screw it up again like they did before.
Well, everything I told the city board always is prefaced by the fact, if the properties are run correctly and in a normal business-like way, and they have been. These properties, you may know, this whole thing was reconstructed in what, 2020?
Yeah.
I mean, 2000, I say that. And then the loan was restructured in 2020, but the Madison Heights rehabilitation was all done, way back when we knocked down the place that was so despicable. And yeah, this property will work. It's 241 units. If you do the cash flow on 241 units and just use some really broad rules of thumb, it can easily pay back $6 million. It can't pay back $6 million in 5 years. It's like if you get a mortgage on your house with a 5-year amortization, your payment is skyrocketing. That's why and I don't think, and again, I don't think short-term financing with the city's help under the Arkansas statute works. But I do think what the mayor was saying was, when you have a big budget with $80 million in cash floating around and lots of needs and wants, there's usually a cash balance sufficient to allow you to make a loan as law requires to this housing authority. And then they'll start getting the money back almost immediately. It's not like this money, again, it's blown up in smoke. The city will get their money back right quick. And then the other thing I've committed to the city, and what I'll talk to these board members about, is for the next 2 years, I sit on a bank board. I sit on the board of a large insurance company that makes huge investments. And I've talked to bankers, and I'm working on some coalitions to take the city out. Just because the city makes the loan doesn't mean that loan can't be prepaid. And keep in mind, if the city makes the loan, let's say it's 4% instead of 9%, with all these fees, this will work. This will work. And it's so stupid. If you have $12 million in equity in your house, like you were talking about, Ms. Kathy,
yes,
you would move heaven and earth. Not to, you'd call everybody you knew, you'd take a second job, you'd do anything you could to make your note payment, so the lender wouldn't come and take your life savings basically in your house. Just imagine what we could do if we had a $22 million property with $6 million of debt on it. I mean, you could roll that into some other affordable
somebody
housing.
out there, financial, would be interested.
Well, it'll
And
work.
we've got all the people who mismanaged it gone.
They're all
So
gone.
we've got an entirely new team that would be relied upon. So that's comfort for us who want a lobby to get it done.
Y'all forgive me for leaving. I wish I could.
We appreciate your time and your contribution. Thank you, Baker.
Well, I'm glad.
And thank you for the unexpected joy of having a quick workshop on all of this deep dive into city financing, courtesy of the Mayor and Baker Kurrus and Director Virgil Miller.
Thank you.
Call me with any questions.
And he's going to send us the memo that comes from, that he's sending to the city board. So for one thing, we can speak on the same topics with the same information. And for another thing, that means that we probably won't make stupid remarks like I was afraid of making because I haven't understood it properly. But I can steal from the very best and quote it all day long, I've got to tell you. Mr. Hodges.
I'm going to run a real simple job. The vote on the money for the haircut suit will be at the Heights board meeting on the 28th.
Do you have a recipient that you have in mind to get it?
No, I don't know anything about this except what you said.
If you've got one in your home neighborhood, we're encouraging that donation there first. But we found that our house is conducting a major event. And the Downtown Association went looking for who's going on with events in our backyard. And we can certainly heartily recommend that as a recipient, which I think will be familiar to you and your board members, if no other comes to mind.
Right, yeah, I don't have a clue how. I no longer have to deal with those little things.
Well, today we'll ask you to pass along the message.
That's right.
Have we got, I think, did you say you had to leave? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, then thank you so much for your contribution. And look for news of exciting, thrilling lobbying memos to come.
Well, I'm having dinner at a certain restaurant tonight, so.
Obviously, we won't try and do anything before sundown. We've been reassured we can wait a while.
Thank you all. Good day.
Junior, what's your question, dear?
Do we know if Madison Heights has any type of, I don't know, neighborhood association or anything? Because I think they were interested in that.
They do not.
Okay.
The tenants who are renters are everywhere across the city, typically not engaging in a neighborhood association because they are so transient, because their money is so tight, they're not going to pay even a $15 dues, which is what it is for the downtown association, and because they have a hard time understanding that the topics in the neighborhood association really do affect them. It takes someone who's looking sort of 3 or 4 steps down the road to make the link between where I live and how that connects with city codes for maintaining minimum safe and health standards for rent housing, which is a big issue in this community, that assures there is affordable housing for low-income folks, plenty of low-income folks in our neighborhood, and then finally that we press the city to budget money for more affordable housing. They're typically not going to be spending time going to night meetings and Saturday morning meetings about those topics.
Okay.
So we can make the effort, and I have knocked on some doors in various campaigns in the city, but as dues-paying members of neighborhood associations, it's not a really promising ground.
Okay. No, I was talking to, I guess she's the most vocal person, is Ms. Bumblebee. She's the one that's been in every meeting, with her signs and talking, and even the mayor, makes jokes every time she comes in, because that's how well she's pretty much the face of whenever she goes out in those meetings. And I was talking to her, and she was like, well, there are long-term renters there.
They are.
And I think, I told her, well, do you have plenty of them to at least maybe set something up like this? Because I think a couple of directors were talking about, like, well, who do we put in charge of this? How does this, what was it, I think Mr. Kurrus said is it the city's job to even handle these types of projects? And I was like, well, isn't it the job's
And the
city's
answer
job?
is yes, of course.
Yeah, the city's job
Back
is
to
to help.
1937, yes.
Yeah, to help the people that actually live here in the city. If the project is financially stable for everybody, I mean, I think it's just, it's something that I think it would benefit if we had the actual people that live there have some type of organization with, I guess who would own the land?
Well, there is Renters United, which is an associate of a group that is not able to come to our table often, but out of Arkansas Community Organizations, which has their headquarters down at 21st and Main, if you ever want to visit, has an organization that has risen up devoted strictly to the problem of low-income renters in substandard housing. They were very much on the front lines trying to get relief for the Big Country Chateau tenants, and that has taken them, as you might suppose, to others in nearby complexes, some owned by the same New Jersey slumlords, that also need relief and help and aren't getting it. They weren't getting the TV news at 6 o'clock that the Big Country Chateau folks were. So I'm going to say, let me make sure that you've got the contact information for Neil Seeley and Renters United. It is possible they already are there. We've just not seen them visible. They are very careful to work a lot quietly before they make a public appearance. And if they've not gone there, we can ask them and suggest that they go there, because that is a tool in our kit of resources. if you have someone in a similar situation in your network, low-income renters that are living in substandard housing with indifferent and ineffective management, particularly if it's absentee management out of state, then Renters United is a resource for you.
Kathy, I think for the renters, more is the property being maintained and so on, not how it's financed. But how it's financed really doesn't concern the renter if the property...
No, but there's been poor management.
No, I understand that.
So it does fit. And when you get there and it continues never to be remedied, you never get relief, which is exactly the Big Country Chateau saga. Then they went deeper, and then they found that they were stealing, literally stealing, the money that had been paid into the office for the water bills. And then they found it went to this New Jersey slumlord. And so it's not that many steps from the one to the other, where you have really serious ongoing issues that never get fixed.
Yeah,
But you're quite right; they're not the same.
One of those is paying a loan.
But they're not the same. That's quite true. So let me see if I happen to have what I may have. Let's see. Contacts. No, I don't. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, take down this number, Junior, 501-376-7151. That gets you 376-7151. And that rings, and there should be someone answering today because Saturday is a busy work day for Arkansas Communities Organization as well as Renters United. And that's one reason they never get to this table is because we hit them on their busy period.
I have his email address.
I'm sorry?
I have his email address.
Absolutely.
NSEAY@arkansas.org.
Arkansas what?
It's Arkansas Community Foundation. The address, NCOMM.org.
I think it is a double N.
Yeah, double N.
Yeah, that's the unusual thing. You expect a community email to just stop at the single, but it is arkansascom.org.
All right, it's just, I'm helping Miss Bumblebee, because she needs help with social media and stuff like that.
That is wonderful. So when we adjourn, go on and call that number and state your case and take it from there.
Okay. Yeah,
we hope that it is a resource that proves valuable to you.
Yeah, because she saw me because I'm handling another project where the city's trying to do development, and we're trying to get them to stop it and try to reconsider building so many houses in such a small area. And we brought up signs. I printed them out because it wasn't that big of a deal for me to print it out with my printer and everything. And then she saw me do it. And now she's got buttons and stickers, and I told her well.
That's how we do it, is we find what works from other folks. Yeah. Steal the very best ideas is always a good advocate's policy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she just spoke to me and she said, hey, are you interested in help, with more stuff like that? And she pretty much, that's her life's goal right now is try to save that complex. So.
As Baker said as he was leaving, what wouldn't you do to save your house?
Mm-hmm.
This is all she knows to do. This is all she has the tool in the kit to do. But she's not a banker. She's not able to negotiate with bankers. Because I think they only talk to each other.
Yeah. But she's getting people to come to those meetings, so she knows everybody over there. So engagement, I don't think it's going to be a problem for her.
It occurs to me from the schedule that we got from the mayor that we should pencil in the night of July the 29th for a 6 o'clock city board meeting. It's a fifth Tuesday, and so they have additions to the conventional, and that gives us a little bit more time to receive information, to call with information, to try and have friendly conversations so that we're able to call them back and say, we've got more information, ask others to call too. And we do want to keep it friendly because these are their city directors that we intend to speak to about many issues in the years to come, not just the weeks to come. But by all means, let's share information. If you've got something, give it to me and I'll get it out in my email network bulletins. I'm expecting the Baker Kurrus memo. Expect that to come. I'm not sure how fast, but I'm suspecting more in the next few days than longer. And similarly, if you find something out, then share it with us. Let's see. Does anyone have any other issues to bring to us today? Questions or something? Okay. Back on the haircuts, we covered that. The other thing that we've been pursuing with some success is a couple of months ago, the question arose about reducing gun violence. And we had these pamphlets from the Be Smart for Kids organization, which is a Moms Demand Action offshoot, strictly focused on safe storage of guns in the home. And there, I think we were all a bit shaken by the fact that gun violence is the leading cause of death for kids across the U.S. And we had some statistics for those losses in the city of Little Rock. And we got very interested in something, once again, that suited the neighborhood association place in advocacy in the world, which was publicize gun safes in the home. Try and get the city to be leading an ongoing publicity campaign. Perhaps put up displays of gun safes in the lobbies at police headquarters and City Hall. We know that we have this big community policing celebration, National Night Out, coming October the 7th. And we said, let's make sure that the gun safe vendors are invited to put up displays at every event. Let's say there's a dozen of them around the city. And the mayor's staff, James Owen, came last month, and he's receptive to that. And I asked him for an update, and truthfully, he had not gotten very far. But stimulated by my inquiry on Report of Progress, he was hustling to get a name list of gun safe vendors, and he's going through the human resource, the people that procure contracts for the city, for that list. I encourage you to do some Googling, particularly for your own neighborhood issues. This isn't going to be that well-organized and structured an activity. When you do go online, like I did, and you do a really clever search engine, gun safes for sale near me, what you find is that you've got a couple of city companies, Bass Pro and Sports Authority, as I recall, that come up. Now, you'll first of all have to wade through all of the tall rifle gun safes that they're really promoting. You can tell we are a state of hunters because that's what comes up in abundance. But then if you persist and you say handgun vendors for sale, and then if you travel gun safes, travel handgun safes, you got to put the handgun in. What turns out is that a lot of folks, both online from the major vendors as well as these stores in the city, sell something that's the size of a case for a handgun. So it's going to be more like this 8x11 pad size. And the way they secure them against easy theft is they have an enormously high-grade steel cable in the corner of this, which you then attach to something fixed, which can be the undercarriage of your car seat. It can be the leg of your bed. It could be something else in your motel room while you're traveling. So these really have a lot of ways that you can secure your gun against being stolen. And it's not that expensive, as are the more fixed ones that, of course, have upgraded boxes and upgraded stuff. So let me encourage you all to look at that and share it in your network, because if all we do is reprint out some of these pages of items for sale and we make sure that they're available that day, then we have advanced the safety for our neighborhoods. And we sent around the attachment to an email for this flyer, so you can print this flyer off for yourself and also have that at your National Night Out table October the 6th. And it's got this whole list of not only horrific images, but it's got these set of tips. It's a really good flyer there. It's a good thing to have a quantity of that you can keep on handing out throughout your network. And as I said, we got the master copy, so you've got the master copy. Let's see. There's even a short card. So it's clever folks come in all directions there. I'm trying to think. Oh, I was going to remind you that we had a recent justification for our concern. The 1st of this month, children shot. The suspect is a 9-year-old who managed to get off bullets against an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I did send this around to everybody on July the 1st. So if you have nothing else to stimulate the pursuit of promotion of gun safes, the 9-year-old that was able to grab up the mother's gun and fire off bullets that hurt a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. There was someone babysitting in the home that was not functioning to stop this from happening. That was a 13-year-old. And in fact, they have arrested the mother on the charge of recklessly left a handgun unsecured. And I might add that the other thing that we really were educated about was the fact that you need the fingerprint lock. They come with keys, they come with entering in 4 digits for a control panel, but you should spend that little bit extra, and this is true for the travel gun safes, as well as the big thing that you screw on to the bedside table right by where you would think an intruder in the night might be calling upon you to defend the house with a gun. But they have the fingerprint lock. Now, no kid is going to be able to get through the fingerprint lock. They might figure out the code, which you put somewhere handy because you can't remember it, and we're all guilty of that one. And they might maneuver through the others. But we've got a very clear path to do something very good. And I really want to encourage everyone to do it now. Bring it to the next meeting that you attend. Prepare ahead for a nice table display on October the 7th. If we want to invite a gun vendor there, it's your event, you do it. If you want to just print off something for a national sales offer, and there's plenty of those, do that. As we know, sometimes going national on purchases will save you money, although from what I remember, in a category like handgun travel safe, there's not only a range of cost, but they're not that different between going into the store here in Little Rock and shopping online. But you obviously should do your own shopping and see what makes it. And the other thing that is particularly valuable about these brochures is they promote raising the question when you send little Johnny out to play across the street. And you're arranging, as you should, with the mother of Johnny about the play date. And you say, you know, we just managed to secure our handgun. Do you have one in your home, and is it secure in a safe? Because I care about keeping my child safe. Handguns are the #1 killer of children. Anyone who is a very attentive mother is likely to be very receptive to urging that and being the neighborhood advocate for gun safes.
So I have a quick question. The card
The profile, yes, the profile.
yeah. Where can we get those aside from printing them ourselves? 'Cause that
Right,
is
for printing
expensive.
yourselves. This is a product of besmart4kids.org, which you would spell BESMARTFORKIDS.org.
Okay, thank you.
This came from Anna Morchetti, who spoke 2 months ago now, who's activist. I'm not sure she's president, but she's some leader in the Moms for Action local chapter here in Little Rock. So let me give you her number, which she's the source of these, and she is the one that can help you being a source for those. Well, it would help if I could do this right. Pardon me. So let's pull up. She was very passionate about this, so that would make me think that she's very active. Her phone number, that is, by the way, spelled Anna Morchetti, Morshedi, and her cell phone is 501-258-7664.
And another question on the haircut thing.
Yes, sir.
I know nothing about it. So who is it that we make the donation to?
We were looking at ways that we could, as neighborhood associations, advocate for reducing gun violence, knowing that we were not the ones who were going to go out in the street, talk the kids out of doing guns. And there are a wonderful array of possibilities, one of which was timely to this season of the year, and that was we were looking at, pardon me, talk later. I'm sorry. New phone, not handling it well, beg your pardon. And they were looking at all of the things that we've determined and researched lead to violence-prone youth. And it's the sort of thing that you would expect. Homes have problems. Lack of parenting hours leads them to look to peers. I can't talk now. I do need to talk to the man, but just not right now. And then we were looking at what are the current activities in the community that try and meet those problem areas, one of which is quite obvious and familiar. All these are suffering from real low self-esteem. They're not going to care very much about what happens to them because they don't think they're worth much, and no one has persuaded them that they are valuable children who need to grow up to be productive citizens that will be respected and made friends with their peers and all of that. All those good things that we rather are able to pursue in our own lives. So then that takes them to what can you do to help raise self-esteem And one of the answers was, you know what, if they are well-groomed, that really does benefit them. And if they are pleased at their appearance, if they're getting compliments on their appearance, well, who doesn't like being told that her hairstyle looks great and she's got a great outfit, you know? I can relate to that. Makes my day. I don't know about you. And that takes you to the fact that there's already a bunch of folks in churches and other helping organizations that try to do this. And they have this back to school event. And we think of it as buying extra pens and pencils and backpacks for the kids in school. But when you get up into the teenager level, what they try and do is they have links with various barber schools and cosmetology schools that will come to the place of the event. Let's say Church X or Our House, which is the one that we've gotten to in my neighborhood. And they set up barber chairs, cosmetology centers, and they provide free of charge very handsome services. When we were talking about the haircuts, the knowledgeable amongst us at the table said, well, you better allow for $50 if you're going to be reimbursing some volunteer who's coming out to do this thing at your location. And so that's when we said, well, this is something neighborhoods can do, because it's a step up from buying pencil and paper and backpacks, but it is also something that reaches very directly at the violence-prone youth that we want to reach. And it's something that's familiar to us. It's something that they do year in and year out. You don't start a back-to-school event for 1 year. This becomes part of your annual calendar of service to the community. And then when you can add the grooming component, the haircutting, which has grown up in recent years, you have really reached directly to the spirit of these kids who otherwise are not doing well in school and are way beyond pens and pencils for trying to turn their attitudes around. And so we were encouraging folks to go raise some money and then donate it to a back-to-school event near them for the purpose of the haircuts for the youth that really aren't going to afford that kind of thing on their own. And so that's the origins. And as I said, we now have success with Central High neighborhood, the Heights neighborhood, the downtown neighborhood that I know about. I've heard from several others that are seeking to get it through their boards for approval, but that's not voted yet to my knowledge, so I won't name them. But it's really struck a very positive chord because it is within our grasp. It is within our ability. We are planning to continue as a neighborhood association year in and year out. We are going to be making a variety of donations to other worthy causes in the neighborhood year in and year out. This is something that we can raise a little extra money to do because it's a little more expensive than a lot of these things are going to be. And we can also do it early enough to announce it in our network and encourage private donations. And that's what we've done in the Downtown Association is we had a meeting a week ago. We said that we were making this donation, and we posted it in our network, and we encouraged everyone else to make a donation to haircuts for August 1st back to school events at our house. So this is something that can be carried on out further than just the little budget of the Neighborhood Association bank account itself. We are simply, once again, a really good source of valuable information that does a positive thing that we just keep on keeping on with. So that's where that comes from. Are you on our mailing list? Do you get the networks? There's something there that goes back 2 months from Anna Morchetti's appearance. If you get it, and if you need it again, just tell me to send it again. Let's see. I do not want to neglect one of those basic civic issues. I just got this out yesterday But our sewer utility needs a bunch of rate increases. They've come to the end of their 5-year schedule for raising money to maintain the sewer lines, which personally I'm very grateful is in my life, so they're taking care of that business for me. But I agree that some people are very pinched by the increases. And there was a story that they're going to have meetings back here at the Willie Hinton Center on July the 29th at 5 o'clock. And the fancy name for these folks, the Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority. Who the heck would know that's sewers? I'm not a fan of jargon, you can tell. And it's going to be going through a 5-year schedule of rate increases that would pick up in 26, where the end of the old 5-year program expires. They're going for just finish the old and go right into the new. And the other thing is what they call that typical customer with average consumption would go up from $41.73 this year to $59.22 by 2030. So that's there to spread in your networks. There's obviously more meetings in Southwest and Josephine Pankey, but I think that this will get on the 29th most of our folks concerned. Well, that's where you hope you've got enough folks interested that one can go to one meeting and one can go to the other. And the other thing you can do when you're double booked, which I have found, is you go to the 5 o'clock meeting, which is here, and right on the dot of 5, and you sign in, and you scoop up every handout they've got to offer. And you tell them that you want further information because you have to go to another meeting, and that gives you time enough to get down to City Hall for some spot meeting. But at least they'll have your information on record because you signed in, and you will have all the handouts from that meeting in detail. And it occurs to me there's almost certainly going to be a slideshow that they will present. And what you can say is, here's my email, please send me the slideshow that I can carry out and show in my neighborhood. And we can do that too, Mary. We need to remember to ask for that. For the coalition to have available, a link to that, I should say. Let's see, there's something else. Oh, one of the other things that circles back to youth violence that we got after these speakers were talking to us about reducing gun violence. And we heard from the city community programs staff about their prevention, intervention, treatment. As you may know, they have several million, 3 million I think it is, that they give out for 12-month contracts. And they give out I believe it's 10 contracts. And we were pressing them for a question that nobody seemed to be answering, which was, how many are you reaching with your city PIT contracts? And how many are the youth at risk in total population? And how close are you coming from one to the other? And what we got, and I did send this out so you can you can find it or look for it again. The PIT recipients was 937 in year 2024. And what does that compare to the youth at risk? And I said, I'm not asking for a lot of deep dives, but you just look at the census tract information for teens in low-income census tracts that we know have a lot of these issues that throw up a lot of problem teens and juvenile delinquency. And they said, well, going by that, we have an estimate that in Little Rock there's 9,800 facing these challenges of poverty, educational barriers, justice system involvement, and limited access to health care. So if you've got 9,800 on the one hand and 937 on the other hand, We need more and better. And we're one of the few advocates in the community that has been pressing them about that. So we need to keep on pressing about that. They do engage with truants and dropouts, which was good news. They have not yet had money for a meaningful evaluation. If you look at their annual report, they have all their particular groups and listing how many contacts we made. So, to their credit, they have a reformed old convicted inmate who's now joined the staff to go out into the street, who's got the credentials to say, I was on the streets, I got sent to prison, I found out there's all this loss and it isn't worth it, so don't you go down the way I did. Don't do what I do is the classic phrase. And they made some contacts in the course of the year, so they're counting up how many contacts they had with folks, which falls short of finding out anything more about how successful they were in persuading changes in behavior. And there's also no indication that having reached Kathy or Mary or Anna or John or Joseph in the course of the 2024 program contacts, they're going to offer them, same kids, something in 2025 to keep on a sustained and even intense effort. So we are into the sustained and intense promotion. And Angela Tolbert, who's with the Dispute Resolution Center, spoke to us a month ago. And she's pursuing a lot of quiet conversations to see if we can't get all these folks together. And that really covers all the business we've had today. I'm going to say that we are adjourned. And thank you so much for coming. It is going to be online at clrn.ar.